Hi, everybody. Welcome to Vizlib Appy Hour. This is the show where we help you make your data talk. And today I'm joined by Joe with Joe.
Hey, everybody. Bye with whatever you want to say. It's fine.
And today we're going through something that people might not think is as interesting, but we think we can make it really fun and interesting. And that's revenue and expenses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? If everybody just got through their last month of doing their expenses or the quarter expenses like we did, I'm sure this is a topic that's kind of fresh. So we have, I think, what will be a way to take maybe a boring topic or something everybody dreads and add some color, character, and insights to it too. So we've shown this app. I've shown it at least in person a few times, maybe a year or so ago or 2 years ago. And it was the first time I've ever gotten claps for like a finance related application.
It's the first time anyone has gotten claps for a finance application.
We have folks streaming in. Yohem, he's on everything. I think he signs up for Appy Hour before we even know that we're going to list it. He's on it. I'm like, I don't even have to invite him. Who invited him? He just knows. So welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, Yohem. And if anyone out there, you guys have pain points with finance, let us know, and we'll see what we can do live on here to help you as well. So, yeah. Before we get started, let's talk drinks. What are you drinking today, Joe?
Yeah, today is usually I will say we do Appy Hour earlier in my day. So now that it's noon, I have a Three Sheeps Brewing Company from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Fresh Coast Juicy Pale Ale. I think it's IPA. And we had extras left over from 4th of July celebrations. So I'm like, well, it's Appy Hour.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's what I'm drinking.
Sheboygan. Every time I hear that name, I can't believe it's a real city.
Wisconsin has some really interestingly named cities. It's fun to watch people try to pronounce them without knowing how they're pronounced. Like I should type in a few and see how you would do it, but I won't put you on the spot. Waukesha is another one that just doesn't look like it at all. Like here, Waukesha? Waukesha. Yeah. A lot of Native American names that are somewhat hard to pronounce for people.
Okay. They have that in Massachusetts, but I think it's like old British names, which for some reason don't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, you got the like New England side of things, right?
Yeah.
CJ's on. Hey, CJ.
Hey.
What are you drinking today?
I'm back in the States now. I was all around Europe. This is the first Appy Hour I'm back in the States. So I'm drinking something that's, I think, quite southern. It's iced tea. And you guys can't see it.
Is it iced tea and lemonade?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic one.
Arizona iced tea. I can't really find it in Europe. So I was like, yes, let's go.
Here, Jane, try to pronounce this one if you have never been there.
Wauwatosa?
Very, very close. Wauwatosa.
Wauwatosa.
Yeah, it's that there's a hidden H or something in there that people throw in like you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Madison still, a little bit of the summer. We're renting a place up here now, and I'm in a cold basement because it's just far too humid outside. And we didn't actually escape any heat from Florida here, is what I'm finding.
You go and you're like, it's worse here.
Yeah, we weren't prepared because it was like 40 degrees and almost snowing when we first got here. And then it went to like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm like, I'm not ready. At least there's a little bit of a range. We have, folks on, YouTube. I mentioned in the chat, if people scroll back, that if LinkedIn is stuttering a little bit, I found that, or is not as crisp, people can watch this on YouTube at the very same time. You might actually catch up as well, or be a little bit ahead of the LinkedIn stuff. So that's a little tip if things aren't as clear and you need to read the screen better.
And if anyone needs, I can zoom in on my screen as well if you need that.
So I'm curious, like just getting back to the States, right? what was the thing you missed the most, like food wise or drink wise, that you're like, the first thing when I get home is I'm going to order something? Did you have anything like that?
Not really, because they have, like, everything in
Yeah.
Europe, but
Yeah.
you know what I ate a lot in Europe? And this is gonna sound crazy, but KFC. I don't know why, but it's better in Europe. I didn't eat it a lot, but I ate more than I don't think I've ever had KFC in the US, but
Oh, how I wouldn't even know how you would compare. I've had KFC in other countries, and I'm like, why would they have like pizza on the menu and like weird items that I would never see? But it's funny. It's not. It's definitely fast food chicken, right? So it's not great. But Andrew was just telling me the other day that I was like, oh, we're chatting with somebody in Kentucky, and he's like, oh, I've been to Kentucky. I was in St. Louis, and I drove to Kentucky to get KFC. I'm like, they have KFC like in every city. You don't have to go to another state to get Kentucky Fried Chicken. He's like, it wasn't very good. I'm like, yeah, they send all the good chicken out from the state. Maybe, I don't
I
know.
think so because it was so good. Like, I always thought Popeyes was the best fast food chicken, and someone in the comments is gonna be like, "No, Jane," but I went there and I was like, "This is delicious." And I also had Burger King, which their menu is
It's everywhere.
much bigger than in the US. They have, like, macaroni and cheese on a burger. It was crazy.
Was that like, here's the American burger, and it's like mac and cheese on top of it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's right.
It was, like, mac and cheese, and they had, like, vegan burgers too, which they don't have in Burger King here.
Just the Impossible Whopper, which I did try that at one point just to see. I don't really like Burger King, so it didn't it didn't help anything.
But I was like, "Oh my god, burgers are so good."
Are you missing that? Yeah. And some home cooked meals, right? Like just getting back home, having a full kitchen again, I imagine is different because you were
Yeah.
in like apartments and things like that, right?
Yeah, I was eating burgers every day, so it's good to have healthy things instead of KFC and Burger King.
Mm. Yeah, that's funny. And you still are, you were, what was it earlier? Like you were swearing off candy, but you were going for sugary drinks. Is that, I caught some of that recently. Have you switched what you're drinking nowadays? I mean, lemonade, half and half is good. You're kind of tampering down the sugar content, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because I had so much, like, German candy because Haribo is there, and their Haribo is like there's way more candies than you can even imagine, so I went to town on those. But then I started tapering off at the end because I thought I need to go back to the US and there won't be as many, so I need to start to, like, limit myself and get out of this candy addiction.
Did you
Nope.
pack a bag of Haribos and take it home type of thing?
No, my bag was so full, I couldn't. So,
Okay.
if anyone wants to send me
Send you
Haribos, let me know. If anyone is in Germany and wants to send me the whole catalog of Haribos, or if Haribo wants to do that, let me know.
Oh, that would be a really cool sponsor. We should totally do another candy episode. People were asking about the Sweetest Day Challenge. We're going to do it again. And maybe we can focus on like, yeah, gummy bears and things like that
Yeah.
and all the alternatives. Awesome. Okay. Well, we definitely have a few folks online. Say hi in the comments. If you haven't already, let us know you're here. And we're going to ask for your feedback, right, on where to take this revenue and expenses application. So Jane, do you want to take us through, like, I think it would be cool to see the before and the after, because we have worked with this before. And then maybe we'll pull apart some of it, right? And you'll be able to rebuild some of those things, or leave an empty area and we'll put a whole new visualization in there based on what people say.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let me add in my screen. So here is the before, and so this is done with Qlik Sense, and it's all Qlik, and it looks nice. It's clean, but then again, people don't like revenue, and you can't really dig in as much as you could with Vizlib. So this is the Vizlib version, and just remember that we can take this, in other places as well. So this is just what we have right now. And we have annotations on line charts, we have forecasting, and we have KPIs. We have Viz
Much
tips.
more interactive, yeah.
Yeah, and we can expand into some rows and in our finance report. So we can start playing around with this. And if anyone has any suggestions or things that they find are pain points, or if you work in finance and there's things that are really important for you to see, let us know. And then we can include that or build something, something new.
If anybody says make an export to Excel button, we're going to have some words. But we know you want that, so maybe we should add something like that. That's the thing. We'll never get away from that.
No.
Awesome. This was, I think, one of the first apps you worked on when you joined Vizlib, and we're like, hey, we had like a complete mock-up at design, and you took and created it with these different Vizlib components. So this is one that I definitely show. We have it available to download too, so we'll send a link to everybody and type it in so you can go grab this after we see what you're able to do here, Jane.
Yeah, perfect. Let me start with a clean sheet. Create new sheet. And let's go in here. Okay.
Let's see. I'm going to try to make our screen bigger. That might help. Kind of throws us in the bottom corner. And then we'll get to some of these questions too. I'll save one that's coming in around forecasting, but feel free. Go for it. What do we want to put on the screen first?
Do we want to start with the line chart?
Yep, just see how we're doing on revenue.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so let's throw in a line chart and add the dimensions that we had. So it was date, and for the measures we have MRR. Like this, we had to write it out. And we'll call this MRR. And for the next one, it's our cost of sales.
So I like this, 2 metrics on a line chart. I wouldn't do too many more lines because then it looks like spaghetti. But oftentimes we were trying to see, if we had considerable spend on something, let's say they go off and marketing does a big Google ad spend one month, do we see an uptick? Maybe it's lagging later on with MRR, monthly recurring revenue. So there were more sales because we made an investment here. And oftentimes people will have 2 separate charts, and then they're doing mental gymnastics, right, to try to see, we did this thing over here. And so Qlik's bringing that data together, both the spending and the expense side and the sales data, to give us these particular things. So, there we see, your MRR. Are you able to zoom in on that chart a little bit too?
Yeah, I can make this bigger, and we can get rid of I'm not a big fan of grids, so we can get rid of that.
I think you're right on it there. Yeah, the data to ink ratio. Although sometimes in finance, people do want to get out the ruler, put it on the screen and see if it's above a certain thing. So that might be something we add that I didn't see in the original one, is like a reference line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have the ability to do that type of stuff, but I'll let you get it to a good state. The other thing that I know you did and I really liked in it was they're both positive numbers. MRRs, the money we're making, and the cost of the sale or the cost of the expenses, we put positive. And actually like that in this case, because if you flip it to negative, like it is a cost, and you could show the ratio, but we're able to quickly see our spend was high, and then later on, MRR jumped up, which we see whatever month that is, kind of after July. It looks like there's a peak there. So what I sometimes do, and I think you did, was you shade in the stuff that's under the line for cost of sales.
Yes, we can definitely do that. I'm going to get rid of the markers. And so we want to make cost of sales an area chart, an area.
Yeah, it just makes it differentiates between it. You can quickly glance. Colors also, right? Yeah. Rest in peace, grids. Yeah, can be useful, but yeah, we give you the options to turn them on and off and change how dark they all are, all that good stuff, and really make it pop if you need to.
Line, let's get.
I'm curious, I'm going to ask, like, what do people, what would you color sales and costs in a single chart?
Right now, I'll just use the Vizlib colors. And if somebody throws a really good suggestion out there, happy to change it.
Yeah, you went with the scheme originally of like blue for MRR and then like a pinkish color, not true like red. We don't want it to jump off the screen too much, but a darker pink color, and ended up being like within our brand. But I'm curious if others always have, you know, costs in a certain color. Red to me is like, does signify bad.
Yeah.
Could be in another, you know, purple and blue, Nathan says.
Okay, we can use purple.
So
I
which
think
one? Purple for sales and blue for cost? We can swap them out. Actually, that looks really nice. You can differentiate that stuff.
Yeah. And let's throw in a reference line. Objects. So do we want it going along the X or the Y? We can also add two of them, or we can add annotations.
Maybe just the Y one, like, and then you can grab a static value, which I like. They can say, okay, show me anytime our monthly sales or expenses were over like 10,000, or you're doing 20,000. Yeah. Left axis.
And I'll do, don't see it.
It should be in tens and 20,000s. Y axis. Did we put on the wrong axis? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Value on the X.
I think it's you have to write it as 20K. Huh.
It should be a pure value. It won't. I don't think it'll like that. 20K should have worked.
Oh, here it is now.
Yeah, it's just catching up with you. So now we have a nice, you know, line that's on there. Oh, that's weird. It went away.
I think this is.
Yeah, give it a name and see.
Reference line.
Yeah, you're on the right one. I think it can just be the app catching up with you. Yeah, there we go. So that makes it pop. We can see, okay, this is our threshold. We had a really great month. And oftentimes I'll turn on markers for one of them. I don't know. It's your preference, right? Because I like to show people where they can hover their mouse over exactly. And the marker is like a good spot. Otherwise, you know, our tooltips do follow, which is kind of interesting. You can just kind of scan across and they go up and down. So you don't have to, but we give you that ability, right? You can even put, this is where you can go crazy. We could spend the entire episode on just a chart and like put icons on, and like this one's going to be the Vizlib logo and the other one's going to be like a money logo or something like that. So usually you're going to have a line chart, right, in a revenue application. So we just want to give you more of that power.
Do we want to add in some annotations as well?
Yeah. you're going to have to grab one of the numbers, right?
Yes.
Let's see, like maybe annotate that like that big blue line right at the top. Everybody, to me, that like jumps out, right? Like what's going on in that particular thing.
And the value is 38670.
So you knew what it was, or
670 left. Title, we'll call it like new product. And
yeah, date formatting is always interesting with this. Ooh. Let's get that. Oh, CJ had another thing here, like orange and blue are the opposites of red and green. They're a little more neutral version of the good and bad. But our expense is bad? Is that what we're trying to say? Like the cost? It's an investment, right? That's how I see it. Depends on which team you are. I guess within a company, if you're on the finance team, maybe expenses are bad. And then Johan was saying, maybe some conditional area coloring. Yeah, like it's above a certain amount. You can use the expressions to do that. We could add that in, but we also want to get to what the bulk of this is, right? Like showing a forecasting and then getting to the finance report.
yeah. The reference is it's so wonky sometimes.
I would try just in case, like,
yep. Okay.
Something happened. Yeah. Oh, it's the format of the date. Yeah.
And, you can customize all of this as you want. We don't have to go into it because it'll take a long time. But yeah, if you want, you can put on annotations and it will just tell you exactly, you can get insights exactly instead of needing to message someone and be like, why did we do so well in December?
Right. Perfect. Yeah, they're never going to remember, or you launched a new product, right? People that come on afterwards might not have known that happened at that point.
Launched Vizzy. Yes, that's our new product name, Vizzy.
Trademark Vizzy. I'm not a out name Vizzy, but I keep asking for like the little paper clip that you would have in Word that told you how to like write a better resume. I want Vizzy to like pop up and say, you shouldn't use like a pie chart for this visualization, and just like yell at you. Give you best practices. Question that came in that you're probably close to, and that is, forecasting is often a challenge. What options do you have for that? I think I wouldn't even turn it on there, Jane. I just hit done and show how you can do it with a right click. And then we can talk through how to turn on. Oh, did you have the context menu? We might have to turn that on. And then it gives you a bunch of options. So search for context.
Oops, context.
Interactivity.
Is it on?
I'm fighting to get it turned on by default because I think it adds a lot of cool things. So if somebody wants to color things differently, turn on the dots, turn off the dots, you just give it to the end user, to the finance team. But one right click, and you can turn on forecasting. Maybe you have to do it once and you can turn it on and off. I've played around with this in different ways and show values. Yeah. Okay. Try to turn it on first. It might not recognize the dates for some reason, but under advanced analytics, right, we have a one-click turn on So that question that came from.
Yep. Okay. No.
It's telling you a little note in the bottom that it doesn't like your dates, I think. Or it's you got to turn on time aware for your dimension.
Thought it was on time. Aware.
I just tried to search for time. It's in the access section, I believe. Was it turned on? Once it does that, you might have to change your sorting because that doesn't look right.
So, I believe I'll have to change.
Like how we did this with the ridgeline plot with our the Friends episode. We were like, how did we get it to draw in this direction? Yeah, I would reference the original sheet, or maybe we can just copy the whole line chart and see if we missed something. So the date recognition, that's getting much closer. It still wanted to sort it in a weird way.
Okay, now we can zoom in more, but it's instead of giving us month by month, I think it's giving us day by day.
Yeah. Can you right-click forecasting now? Or is it still giving you that little error in the bottom?
No, but the dates are really wonky in this app.
Yeah, just try copying the chart from the one that's good, and we can move to the next thing there, because there's some settings in there that I think are a little different than what you have. Yeah.
This is like those baking shows where they're like,
right.
won't show you.
Way.
You don't have to.
And you're like, it doesn't look like the same thing. Perfect. But like I want to reference this question that came in. What options do we have? So in advanced analytics, we have a couple different options, right? We've added in new ARIMA forecasting models that do seasonality. You could use your own expression and do scenarios. So maybe you want to estimate out if we increased our cost of sales by 10%, this is how that line should grow based on expressions that you give. So you don't have to have this connected like R or Python. You're just doing that work directly in the chart. But we give you a couple of predictive types of formulas as well that work right there with forecasting. So it drops that line, or you can take it away.
So if we enable forecasting here.
Yep. And like disclaimer, don't make all of your financial decisions based on your seasonal data, because we all, I think, got burned the last 2 years with like predicting growth. And then, of course, COVID, war in Ukraine, inflation. Like if the machines could figure this stuff out, we'd all be crazy rich. So it does its best based on your historical data, and it can give you at least an indication of how things are headed. So I actually really like it.
Yeah, so, and here the dates work. So you can just right click on your mouse and then disable or enable forecasting.
Nice. What next?
Does this answer the questions? So for forecasting, you can also you can choose how many months you want to look in the past to base your forecasting off of, and choose how many months you want to look ahead.
Yeah, question. So what's the most common feature request you've both heard from customers? Just in general?
I think it's tool tips on everything.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, over time, yeah, it changes because we do release stuff so quickly. I would say like before it was, can we get the Viz tip inside of XYZ chart? And then we'll get it. And sometimes I'll like go on vacation, come back, and we've updated a bunch of charts. So the thing I think I've gotten most recently is actually a lot of stuff related to cloud, like right back in the cloud. Does it work with it? And a couple months ago, we were still working towards it, but now we have fully featured, full scale right back in Qlik Cloud. New documentation related to that, updates to the product for collaboration. That was one I was hearing a lot of. But most recently, I'm not sure, Jane, have you heard much on the Qlik side?
No, but I have not been working with customers as much recently. But we did get a question about it in 2 previous Appy Hours ago about Qlik Sense and if Vizlib works. So I think, moving on to cloud is a big priority for customers.
Yeah. Well, I guess related to SaaS is like right-clicking on things. Yes, sometimes I do take vacations, Cody. I took a day off. The other thing related to SaaS is like the right-click options of like saving it. In printing, isn't in Qlik SaaS. So do we work with Qlik automation, application automation, to reporting? So working with Qlik a lot on that to get it access to newer APIs so that everything you see on the screen would be able to be automated and do a report. So there's still a fair amount of reporting that people are doing, and they want to have all the Vizlib goodness in that. And that I know we've had questions coming about. It's a good one. Nice. What should we add next? What do you want to? Jane, do you usually build directly from scratch, or do you take like that existing one and drop a Vizlib over top of it and change it?
I usually build directly from scratch because sometimes when I drop Vizlib on top of a Qlik chart, it will mess up some of the features, and then for me it's harder to fix something. Sometimes it's harder to fix than it is just to start over from scratch.
Just to build directly from scratch, yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on the chart though. If it's something simple like a bar chart, I'll drag and drop.
Swap it over. Nice.
Do we want to try dragging and dropping?
Yeah, maybe one of those. There were a lot of KPIs on that first sheet, and a number, as a KPI, to me, it doesn't help anything. So maybe one of those, like there's a target KPI, there's a couple of things. And I know in the one that you built, you kind of combined a bunch of these into the same space that massive number took, but gave more of an indication. I like doing that with the KPI designer. So you have this one, and yeah, you're right. This is one where maybe I wouldn't want to drag the KPI, but we'll see what it does. Convert it. And it doesn't do much for this one because it's like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, and we did a whole KPI designer Appy Hour. So if anybody wants to kind of dig in deep, look at everything you can do with the KPI designer, you can look at some of our old Appy Hours and see all of the features of it. But for this one, we can do something quickly. Sure. Or how about these are 3 separate gauges, so it might take some time. But if we take a look at this one, maybe the line chart will be easier to just quickly do. So
revenue, put something over top of it. Sure. Yeah, and we've what we've done with this too is some of those have become templates directly in the KPI designer. So oftentimes I start there and then change it up. Or if I know it's going to be super unique, I just start from scratch and use it as a full canvas. Mm-hmm. And just start putting objects over top. So giving you the options there. I think it's towards the bottom is one that kind of looks like the first one that you had. Nope. Cool. Oh, that's an interesting one. I was thinking the one that has like YouTube and Twitch on it. That's like the gauge bar that I usually use.
We have AC saying the KPI designer is the greatest of all time.
Oh, nice.
We can do this one and change it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good one. It has icons and an annotation and a trend, and it's more than just the number. So we want to see how things are tracking. we had total revenue in the original one, but I mean, you could do whatever.
Revenue. And so we have line charts, bar charts, gauges, and pie charts already inside of the KPI designer, but you can also, if you want, build out your own and then add it as a master item to just get more features in there. But for this one, we can build it within. So the dimension, we just threw in some random numbers because this is not a real finance chart, but here's how it looks. And for the number, we can, I think this one's okay. 16% growth is fine. That
can be totally data driven. You might not have those things here. So just showing you where you can put this stuff. Change just like dragging the layers wherever you want. And we give you the ability to put stuff on top, put it behind things, and create those custom measures. And it all scales to the viewport as well, allowing you to change really everything up. It's a lot of design control, which I know a lot of folks come from ClickView days and want to use, that type of feature. This is where I find the KPI designer is super helpful. Or people that take charts and graphs and then put it in PowerPoint so that they can annotate something. You can use the KPI designer to build more than just KPIs. It could be the full sheet. Actually, it's kind of fun to build a full app with just the KPI designer. So lots of episodes of Appy Hour feature the KPI designer.
For the total, we have 4.8 million. So 8 0 0 0 0. Yes. Okay. And yeah, you can change up the colors and everything. I'll just do something very quick in here. I think this looks nice. Yeah, something like this.
Perfect. So same exact space as the original, KPI box, but a lot more context in there. Better use of the screen real estate as well. So you can put multiple numbers and just make it work for your team, what they need to fit on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, so the first one, it just gives you a number of the total revenue. You can't really see if there's, growth or if it's declining or anything. And I think this one just adds a little bit extra. And, the line chart, it's so simple. It doesn't give you like the months, but you can just see the trend, the overall trend. And I think that's what's most important.
Right.
So we have this one, and I can just copy and paste the other ones just so you guys don't have to watch me make multiple KPIs. And this down.
Nice.
And also, if you do make a KPI that you really like, you can save it as a template as well for anyone in the company to use.
Yeah, future use, different applications, but it speeds up development even in the application you're working on, right? If you make like that expenses one and you want to use 3 different versions of it, I just create a template and then start reusing it because you're always going to come back to it at some point, I feel like. Definitely. Pro tip. Do we have that one listed still? Viz tip. It's not a Viz tips. We came up with that word before we called things Viz tips. This is kind of funny, but that's a good Viz tip.
How does this look?
Yeah, this is looking good. That's like the visual stuff. This is going to get Maybe the finance team a little bit more excited about the data, or at least other people outside of finance going,
Mhm.
yeah, you guys love columns and rows and pivot tables. We want to see the trends, which is really hard to do in a pivot table. But finance, I think this is this next one where you take what was pretty straightforward, like P&L, like report in Qlik, and then really jazz it up with the Qlik or with the Vizlib finance report, which adds a lot of capabilities and also visual capabilities as well.
Yeah, so this is the Qlik one, and I'll just build the Vizlib one on top, and then we can kind of compare. Go.
Nice.
And is everyone seeing my screen okay?
Yeah, I'm checking another screen just to make sure.
I can make these.
It looks good. And as long as I'll zoom in like this, as long as I'm not blocking what you're working on, I think this is a little bit larger than.
All right, okay, so let's add in some dimensions. What we have here is report row, so everything here in the pivot table will be our new dimension. Row and country. And also here. And for our measures, we have a lot of measures. That's okay. Count. Which is a linked value. Count and company. We'll do count.
Yeah, so you're starting to see it come together here.
Oh, sorry, these are alternative dimensions. It's actually actual. The actual versus the budget and the budget. So just off the bat, I think this looks.
Now, yeah, you're missing, you want to get year to be broken out year to year along the top. So not necessarily sorting. I'm just thinking you have it in your finance report as just a dimension in a drill down, but you want to bring it across the top as a column. So there's a couple ways you can do this, right? And one is actually in the finance report itself. I believe you can say when you click that dimensions button, you might have to be out of there. It doesn't have alternatives.
Is it because the report row?
Nope, report row's right. It's your year added into another section. This all looks good so far. Now it's alternative, and that's fine. You want to look at the reference one that you have, because I think it's just in a different spot, or maybe there's another setting. Again, I'm not an expert on the finance report. We should have Michael on this, but there's a lot of people see.
Yeah, it's weird because in the other one, its year is just here.
Yep, but there's a setting within year to make it a column. Text representation. It should be text. Try looking at another finance report, or browser here. Expand all.
Here's us playing around with the finance report. Again, not our favorites.
Oh, it is my favorite. I just don't know the settings as well. So I end up taking and copying it from the like sample application that has it fully built out as a P&L. Yeah, you definitely have it in your other one. Maybe just go back to your full version of it, and we'll look at the settings there and change it up. So yeah, leave your... Yeah, there's a lot more settings in this one, and then delete that top one so we can focus in on this. Luckily, it's already colored like everything. But the way this is working is we'll give you all that flexibility to change the report rows. Finance teams really love this because you can scroll left and right and not lose things like pin columns, expand. And there's blank rows in this that people often ask for in finance, and even disconnected or different measures that wouldn't be calculated. So they're calculated at a row level or even at a cell level. So that's really tough to do in a pivot table, or can be really expensive as far as like resources. So the finance report takes care of a lot of that stuff. And then you just end up adding in those dimensions and measures you want, either as alternatives and giving you the ability to change this up on the fly. Coloring the rows, adding in these things like bolding and red and italics and all that stuff that you could probably do in a pivot table. It just takes a really long time. It's lots of expressions. So we just give you all that ability here with just some little formulas, and also a really nice template that you can feed in and connect to your P&L system, your ERP. But I've also seen, this came up just last week actually, people wanted to build a really fancy like KPI table, and everything was very different KPI calculated at different levels, like a metrics table. And we said, use the finance report. And you might not think that that's, well, this isn't finance stuff. It's all over the place. That's because it's so flexible in what you put in it. Like you could see those blank rows and you see these different things. It allows you to just put metrics on a table and really control everything and have a nice view of all of the data in a really consistent format. So it is, it's a heavy hitter when you start using it. It can solve a lot of issues, and especially for your finance team, of course.
Yeah, and I think there is one thing we could add to this that would be really helpful, and I think finance teams would find it helpful, and it's teamwork.
Oh, yeah. So you have all this, your finance report. Maybe give your KPIs a little bit more breathing room. And then, yeah, so you want that to be, that's the star for finance, but the line chart and your KPIs still have some room here. And then teamwork. Yeah, that's a good one. So let's say people want to, finance team's reviewing something. They see a huge expense, or sales team wants to make a comment on, launching the new product, thanking the marketing team for doing a, big campaign against it, and we're seeing the uptick. Teamwork's a great way to talk about the data directly in the application. So all you need is just one little blank spot on the screen to drop it into, and then you can fill it back up. Teamwork, drop it in.
And I think this is the first time teamwork has been featured on here.
Might be, yeah. It's there. It popped in the bottom corner. You just gotta expand out your KPI again and then hit done. And that's teamwork. We can't see it because it's over top, but what can you say? Like, I like to grab some data because it will connect it to things. Yeah, go ahead and tag me. I'll get an alert. I get an email and a Slack message that you're commenting on something.
Now I can talk about Sweden.
narrowed into Sweden.
And made in July. So, and when you do tag someone, when you do have a filter and you tag someone in here, and they click on the comment, it automatically brings them to everything that the person who is writing the comment, what they filtered in on. So you don't have to say, hey, if you filter on Sweden, July, and
Yeah.
like do this and that, like, do you see this one little thing here? You don't have to do any of that. You can just filter it on Sweden.
Or I get like so that like they send a screenshot of the app and they say it's all there, and you're like, well, what did you actually filter on? I can't even tell because it just says selected 6 of 20 in country. And so yeah, I really like it. Gives you the link to jump right back into the exact same sheet, all of your filters.
July. Hi Joe. Why did Sweden have so many expenses in July?
I think we all know. Any guesses? I'm gonna throw it out there. Midsummer expenses.
And here you can see that there's a little filter. Click on it. It brings you right to what I was looking at.
Perfect. Yeah, and if the app is published, which it's not right now because you're working on it, I'd be able to go right in and respond there. So we should do a future thing on like how we use collaboration maybe at Vizlib, because we have it in a number of our apps internally. Just have to be careful, we don't expose any information, but maybe we'll come up with our like Appy Hour app where we have the data and you and I can like talk back and forth using that.
Yeah, the whole app, like the whole Appy Hour would just be us typing in messages to each other.
Yeah, maybe not, but cool. Yeah, do that. So you have all your commentary. You're talking about Sweden, your expenses. You built like at least 50% of what we had originally. So how fast you can get to something like this is, I think, the fun part. And people will want to use it then. They're not just asking for the export to Excel because they can do a lot more with it. But here's your final state. Can you zoom back? I'm going to remove some of those things so people can see. Here's the after, or do the before and after of, boring town. Might be, refresh the screen just in case something got locked in there. But standard revenue and expenses, dashboard has some KPIs and things like that. Not bad. I mean, this is, getting to this is big because they pulled in a lot of data. But then you hit, what can you take it to with minimal work? Some templates and different things. I think this is so much more impactful, and you want to actually be in here and use it. So we use this actually quite a bit internally, and customers that we have that use finance, report, and other parts of Vizlib actually really like this, and it's a very popular thing to have in the finance team. Yeah, awesome. So let me grab the link too, so people can go download this app. I gotta pop it into 2 screens. That threw it out on like YouTube, and so it is on. Do you want to go to the gallery chain with that link and show them? It is what you just showed there.
Vizlib app gallery. So we just.
And then search for revenue, I think is the fastest way that I saw it. So there's lots of apps. We're adding stuff. We give you the full QVF, screenshots of things. You can see it's got all the Viz tips, the finance report. I think the only thing we didn't have in there is teamwork, but simply drag teamwork on the screen and you're good to go. So if you hit request now, basically you get the QVF, you fill out a little form. But and if you haven't used Vizlib before, we give you all the information on how to download that and use it for free. It's free for up to 5 users. So if you have Qlik Sense, you can put this in place, and it works with Qlik Sense as well, as I know a lot more people are using that nowadays. So we'll keep sharing these apps and get it out in the hands of people. But yeah, this one was popular. It's one of our most popular apps actually for downloading. So take a crack at it, and if you change it up, let us know what your finance reports now look like. Feel free to blur out the numbers too. You don't have to share your actual numbers. But make your finance team really happy with something like this.
Yeah, and just one thing to mention is also, when we hover over, you'll see the little graph changing. That's a Viz tip,
Just tips, yeah.
and you can add that to the finance report, and it adds, it adds some extra insights to just numbers.
Yeah, how big is that number? Where is it at in the trend? That type of stuff. I've seen lots of creative uses of the Viz tips in something like a finance report or in a table.
Yeah, I think just having a number it's not so great because we did talk about it with Emily and Let Your Data Do the Talking, and
Yeah,
how data it can misguide people, and so seeing like the part of the whole is really important.
nice. Yeah, awesome work, Jane. Thanks for taking us through, how you built that out. I don't know. Yeah, if we want to update that version too, we'll let people know and update it right on the Vizlib gallery, but get it out there so people can take it apart and build on top of it as well. That'd be really cool to see.
Yeah, I think so too. And if anyone has any suggestions or requests on what they want to see, let us know, and we will definitely do it.
Yeah, well, look at this little recap. Nice. Yeah, less than an hour. Thanks a lot for joining and for the feedback on the colors. We didn't talk about blue versus purple, which is nice, but we'll always come back to it. So cheers, Jane. Thanks a lot for Appy Hour.
Cheers. Thank you everyone for watching.
Take
See you
care.
next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.